Wish everybody else was.
Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you all to this special meeting of the Hamburg Township Board of Trustees. First public hearing on the Island Shore Schlenker Road Maintenance SAD, 2 p.m., Tuesday, May the 2nd, 2017. Will you please rise and join us in the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. Clerk Dolan, will you please call the roll of the board?
Clerk Dolan here. Trustee Hahn.
Here.
Supervisor Hall.
Here.
Trustee Keebley.
Here.
Trustee Menzies.
Here.
Treasurer Negri.
Here.
Trustee Nielsen.
Here.
With that, we'll have the opening call to the public. This is a call to the public not associated with the road. If you have any issues you'd like to bring to the board other than the public hearing topic, would you please approach your microphone? We'll need your name and address. You'll be given 3 minutes. And the topic you raise here today may or may not be added to this or a future agenda item of the board.
Mary Ann Lampkin, 4855 Island Shore Drive. This is for the benefit of the board who has under their jurisdiction our police department. My husband and I are going to be filing 2 complaints against the Hartmeyers for coming onto our property, we caught them on film, digging trenches on our property, and literally, after I spent 4 hours raking leaves into our road, compost them real nice, by the way, Mr. Hartmeyer decided he was going to come down in the cloak of darkness and then rake them back onto my property. Now, I'm 65 years old, will be shortly, and I have a tremendous amount of medical issues relating to my back and my legs. That took a lot out of me. I'm still trying to recuperate from those days. And I'm fed up, sick and tired of those people trespassing on my property to do malicious destruction of my property. So I'd just like you to know that we're going to continue to file complaints against those morons and anybody else who thinks they can come on my property and do anything they want to it. We're also going to be sending that letter and the complaint to Judge Hattie because he is dealing with our road situation right now. But I'm fed up with these people. And I want your police department to understand we're not tolerating it anymore. So when I file a complaint, I expect them to act on it.
Anyone else wish to address the board, please? Anyone? Well, there being no one, we'll close the opening call to the public. Any correspondence?
I have none.
No correspondence. We'll move on to the agenda. The agenda is a single item, Island Shore Schlenker Road Maintenance SAD, first public hearing.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Supported by Keebley, moved by Nielsen. Any discussion? All in favor, please. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. With that, we'll start the introduction of the SAD. This is a Act 188 Special Assessment District, initiated by the citizens. I'll turn the floor over to Brittany. She's tabulated everything and got all the information, and then we'll come back and open up the public hearing.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. This afternoon is the first public hearing for the proposed Island Shore Schlenker Road Maintenance Special Assessment District. It's called the Hearing of Necessity. And what this meeting, the purpose of the meeting is to determine whether the district's necessary. Do property owners want this district? What are the district boundaries? Who's included in the SAD? These boundaries are the exact same boundaries as the prior road maintenance special assessment districts. In the past, we have not changed the boundaries. They are exactly the same. And the estimated cost of the project. We are estimating right now that the cost per parcel would be about $370. It may increase slightly by about $9. We have another request to combine some lots. So that one less lot will increase the assessment by about $9 per parcel. That request is going to be reviewed by the board today at 2:30 at the regular meeting. In support by road frontage, this district had 60.63% in favor of renewing the special assessment district. And by parcel count, you had 29 out of 43 parcels for 67.44% in favor. I have sent out bid requests to the various contractors that provide road maintenance services. Those bids will go before the board at the next meeting. If all goes well, the district will be established for a 10-year period with the maintenance contract bid out every 2 years so that the pricing remains competitive for everyone. If the board chooses to move forward with the special assessment district, they will adopt a resolution at their regular meeting at 2:30 to schedule the second public hearing, which is called the hearing of assessment. That basically will give the amount that you would be assessed on this winter's tax bill. We're looking to do that on June 6th at 2 p.m. That's it for me.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all your hard work tabulating everything. At this time, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone that wishes to speak is asked to please go to the microphone, and any comments need to be directed at the board. Need your name and your address.
Hi, my name is Joan Bodway. I live at 5257 Schlinker. My husband Jim and I have lived there for over 30 years. And our property is at the very end of the road where there's not a lot of traffic. It's pretty quiet. There's not a lot of dust, not a lot of noise, and we like it there. And that's one of the reasons that we actually purchased the home at that particular spot. Lately, the road has been gotten into really some bad disrepair. And we want to thank the board for moving ahead with this process on reestablishing the SAD. We feel that's the only fair and equitable way for everybody who owns property on that road, no matter how far they drive to M36. They're basically paying for the maintenance of their share of the property. So with that being said, in the interest of keeping costs down, I noticed on the specifications it mentions 4 chlorides a year, and we've been scraping by with like 1 the last few years. So I was thinking, is it a possibility that they look at maybe doing 2 chlorides a year, seeing how that works out, and then we could proceed from there. So
Okay,
once again, thank you.
and we'll answer that after everybody has a chance to talk.
Steve Lampkin, 4855 Island Shore Drive, also own 4877 Island Shore Drive. Ms. Bowen talked about the share to be able to have the road maintenance. Well, maybe she implied it or not, but it is set up so that everybody pays their amount per lot. Have Mr. Jury define in PA 188 what the word benefit means. Benefit means is what you do, what you receive for your purchase. The benefit is not having your road maintained in front of your property, since it's a road system. It is what you utilize on that road. So people that live down by Joan and Seal, they drive the whole length of the road. And they're paying $377 for that privilege. I'm going to pay $377 twice to have 2 lots to drive half the distance. Is that fair? And it's based on benefit. So I need to have a firm definition what benefit means. It means what you receive, not maintenance of my little section of the road. It's what you drive on the road. Now, speaking of the district, I don't believe that Brittany has calculated the frontage correctly, because she uses multiple occurrences of frontage. First thing you got to decide is
Steve, comments here.
Okay. What you have to decide is, I'm assuming the frontage of the road is the whole total length of the system. Is that, I'm assuming that, okay? Now, if you look at all of the additions that she put together on the original document, I happen to own both sides of the roadway on 2 properties. So I would theoretically, if this is legal and gets approved and goes forward, is $370 approximately for my lot 4855 and $370 for 4887. Okay? I own both sides of the road. Well, you go look at her process that she used to calculate everything, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to give them a benefit, thing that they should know about, is that Ingram lived exactly opposite Bodwin's. And their distance on the frontage is, I believe, 105 feet. If you look at her calculations, that 105 feet is added in twice. So how can the length of the road be 105 feet on the Baldwin side and 105 feet on the Ingram side? Okay? So theoretically, hate to say this, that they should be paying if you calculate on a lot basis, they should be paying $370 because that makes the assumption that, in my case, I'm paying for the road maintenance the whole width. So you're telling me you're double paying the whole width of Schlenker Drive between Ingram's and Baldwin's? That calculation is all screwed up. We told you at the last public hearing, the last meeting, that in the information that Mary Ann gave you guys, you miscalculated Virginia, because if you go on your GIS map, you can see all the dimensions on the map that calculates her length. I think she calculated about 400 feet. I added up the dimensions on the GIS map, it's about 260 feet. So that thing, I'm telling you, is all screwed up.
Anything else?
So therefore, yeah, and I'm also concerned the fact that I asked in the last call to the public about your proof that Island Shore Drive, that my property is not private property.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board, please?
I have two issues. First, the so-called district is being charged $1,500 for legal fees. Well, now, we don't have a district yet. So how is John Drury's fees being charged against a district that doesn't exist? Okay? Second, John Drury, by virtue of this, owes us copies of what it was that produced the $1,500 fee. We want to know exactly how did he come up with the legal right to describe Island Shore Drive as a private road. So I'm going to ask a series of questions. First, under whose authority was Island Shore Drive declared to be a private road? What instrument was filed that dealt with acknowledging that my private land and 22 other people who have Island Shore Drive inside their legal description to be a private road? Where are those legal instruments at? Where were they filed? Who filed them? When were they filed? Because if they don't exist, there is no private road called Island Shore Drive. There is a strip of land contained in each one of our properties for our use that we give a reserved right to use to the person who needs to use that strip of land in order to reach the main roadway. My survey remains the same as the day that it was conveyed. There is no private road designation on my property in my easement. Ergo, there is no private road. So under the parameters, the legal parameters of PA 188 of 1954, you cannot proceed with this district, otherwise you're committing a fraud. That fraud becomes even more important because the fraud will consist of extorting money from us that you're frauding in order to pay for their maintenance. We don't, Steve alluded to this, we don't get a benefit from either of the roads in those two subdivisions. Lakeview Drive, which is its legal name, and Schlenker Drive, which is a legal name. Those roads are dedicated to those property owners. We don't have any reason to be back there. We don't need to go through their property in order to access our home. So unless we're up there visiting, and very few of us would want to bother to partake in that, the issue is, where's our benefit? So why are we paying for the maintenance of their roads? They've had at their disposal for over 9 years since the last SAD was dissolved to create a special assessment district for themselves to maintain their property. Why haven't they? Why didn't they? It's our private property right not to maintain our property. Our deeds say that all we were required to do was to reserve a strip of land. There was no delegation of responsibility for maintenance because it was our land. Now, if somebody who benefited from the use of my property was going to complain about, okay, Marianne, you reserved this property, but it's a wreck, they could probably come after me as an individual. But collectively, they don't have any power either, because this is a restrictive reservation covenant. In other words, it doesn't go backwards. Ergo, the example I'll give you. Fred Wark lives primarily in the middle of all of our properties. He gets the use of a strip of land from his property all the way out to the main roadway and back. He does not have the right, based upon the language of the deed, to go past his property, to Swala's property, to my two properties, or Kathy Barrett's property. Period. So I'm a little concerned why you people don't understand that this group of people here that occupy illegally right now the use of our properties, that is a matter that is in the courts, and they right now still require a license to enter upon our property. That matter is in the Supreme Court on an application for leave to determine privity. We are going to tell you that if you move this district and you approve it, you will be sued. The reason why I started my little conversation with questions is because I want to make it real clear that you were given notice of the law. All right? You got right here a useless attorney that doesn't know his rear end from a hole in the ground and 99% of the time. And I want to read the crap that he issued, because after having a conversation with Mr. Menzies on the phone, it became clear to me that he didn't even understand the legislation that was in place at the time this district was originally created. It was illegal then, as it is illegal now. And Martha Parrish, the former clerk, who was known for going rogue, did exactly that. She was provided deeds that gave the language of all of our properties that clearly said Island Shore Drive was a strip of land privately owned by the resident. And for your edification, Judge Reeder ruled in 2006 that Island Shore Drive was indeed privately owned by the resident. So I'm really anxious to find out what you're going to produce as a legal instrument that declares Island Shore Drive a private road and facilitates the requirements under PA 188 to receive any kind of special assessment district benefits. Because you don't have the legal authority. So when I file my lawsuit against all of you, it will not only be as a board, but it will be individually. Because I'm giving you knowledge and information of what the legal status of my property is. I gave it to you last time. You have all the original deeds, library pages to look it up. And conversely, I said, show me the proof that Island Shore Drive is a private road and under whose authority that happened. And I'm not talking about a name change, Mr. Drury. And I'm not talking about whether it was ever considered platted or not, because that's totally irrelevant. But after talking with Mr. Menzies, it became clear to me that you people are being dragged down the proverbial primrose path by that incompetent person right there. So I'm giving you a second opportunity to look at the law, because if you go forward with this, there will be a lawsuit, and I will be coming after every single person who signed that petition, and specifically those who circulated it, because I'm going to ask the Attorney General to come after them for circulating a fraudulent petition, knowing they know Island Shore Drive is not a private road, and yet they signed their names on that application or that petition, knowing that's a fraud, and knowing that what they're doing and the consequences of it can be considered extortion of money for false pretenses. We not only get no benefit, but you have no legal authority to tax us for 1 cent for maintenance on our private property. So the Attorney General is going to look at every one of these people. Why? Do they know? They're in a lawsuit. They were in a lawsuit in 2006 in quiet title action. 2 of these people signed a stipulated order acknowledging that they had to come to us to get permission that we would not take away their ingress and egress rights. That was signed by Judge Reeder. And yet the fraud that represents them in the current quiet title is decided, oh, to hell with res judicata. Let's do it again and get a bigger bite out of the apple. Let me tell you, the bite's going to come out of their rear ends. Because that's knowledge. You cannot try to get prescription of a private road. So therefore, they knew all along Island Shore Drive is private, real property. Ergo, why file a lawsuit for quiet title on a private road? The use is exactly the same. They have never met their burden on prescription, which requires adversity. What's adverse of their use of our property in comparison to the use that we're making? There isn't any. They can't even get over that burden right there. They're fighting over privity and statute of limitations when they haven't even met the original first element of prescription, which is adverse. I'm going to win this case, and then I'm going to burn those people at the stake with their own lies and their own games, because extorting money by filing and circulating a petition in the face of fraud is a criminal offense. And they know it.
I'd like to move to cut off the comment period. We're way past the 3 minutes.
3 minutes, my butt. This is a public hearing. And I have a
Another
right to
previously
speak.
scheduled
There's
meeting.
nothing.
We have
that-
another previously scheduled meeting.
Well,
to address this.
that's just really.
And
too
you're getting
bad.
redundant.
Because this
You're
is
getting
my.
redundant,
You're
Mrs.
talking
Lambert.
about my property, Mr.
I understand,
Attorney.
but you're saying the same thing over and over again.
No, I'm not.
I've
I'm
taken
making
good
it real
notes.
clear.
I
Good
know
for
what you're
you.
saying.
I'm glad you're taking.
I know what you're saying. You don't have to say it again.
A higher standard
You don't have
for
to say it again,
understanding
Ms.
what
Lambert.
I'm saying. So when I sue your butt, you're going to have no wiggle room, buddy.
Okay.
And then
Very good.
the issue is really, what are you doing as the treasurer of this township if you're an attorney? Is it because you're a piss poor attorney?
Mary Ann.
That's out of hand. This
Marianne.
is endless.
I don't really care. The bottom line is you put us through this every couple of... Shut up.
Excuse me. Hey, Mary Ann, everyone.
good.
If you'll sit down and let someone else talk, I'll give you the floor at the end of the meeting. Sit down, please. Anyone else wish
Heil
to
Hitler.
address the board? Anybody else wish to address the board, please? Steve, you've already been there. Anyone else?
Criminal. You laugh now. You laugh now.
Candy Pamplin, 4685 Island Shore Drive. I was here the last meeting. I read you a 3.5-page letter. My heart is with the Lord. I'm just going to be freedom of speech. It's going to be said. It's going to be what I feel. Again, I just want to ask you a question. Why do you change truth to what you want it to be? I've searched the answers with many wonderful Christian people and pastors, and it's a matter of your heart. I asked last time when I came that I come with integrity, ethics, and trust. And I would hope that we'd all leave here with a little bit of that, or hopefully a lot of it. Because I'm going to give you something that I want you to think about. Human government. For God has put in their hearts to execute his purpose by having a common purpose and by giving their kingdom to the beast, until the words of God should be fulfilled. One day, we will all be accountable, not only for every word we've said, but every thought and action we've done. So I don't know if I'm a Christian. It doesn't matter whether you're a Christian or not. It's ethics, integrity, and trust. That comes out of the book of Revelations, and I did a 2-year study on Revelations. This world is upside down. We better back up and look to what our Lord and Savior is saying, not only in the States, but around the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Ma'am, can I get your name and address again, please?
Candy Pamplin,
Spell the last name, please.
P-A-M-P-L-I-N,
Address?
4685 Island Shore Drive.
Thank you.
One other comment on my property. I own 2 lots also. I own a wetland, and I own my home. I'm a single homeowner that wants to leave this township. Due to family situations, I can't. That expense on that road, when I have beer cans and garbage and people driving through it and ruining my garden, I find it really, really ridiculous and high. I think there's another solution.
Thank you. Someone else?
Pat, to remind you, you have a letter you need to read into the minutes.
Yeah,
from
I've got it
before.
right here. I was gonna, thank you, Brittany.
Good afternoon. I'm Ron Garrison. Address is 4779 Island Shore Drive. I think Mrs. Lampkin has kind of brought up the same question that I had asked at the public hearing before, and that was just the basis of ensuring for both of us that the Island Shore Drive does fall within the legal right in which to establish a SAD unit. So enough said on that. I had just kind of a couple questions, and maybe you'll address those a little bit later on. Somebody on the Hamburg Township makes the decision, okay, we're going to come out, we're going to plow the snow, we're going to come out and do the chlorinating, we're going to do something like that. Is there, I don't understand how the liaison goes with the particular homeowners. Do they get like a message, do you get a call, or do we have to have a liaison person? Or do you just come out anytime you want to because we've got such an entity? It just seems to be some type of a simple control factor. Other question was, if there is no activity, it really results, I would think, in no cost. But the way I'm reading the proposal sheet, there still is an embedded cost, administrative cost in that. If we had no activity, I'd just like to know what that cost would be. The other thing is when it's done, I assume that you provide us with the additional or the information in the first place, so we would know how much it costs every time when they shovel the snow or when they come in and just grade. But somebody has to authorize that on your part. And I think if I heard that right, you have a 2-year contract, so it's set up so it's the same. So it's a fixed charge that goes across the whole SAD unit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garrison. I will read a letter here from Fred Wark. It's long. I'll try to read rather quickly. Regarding the proposed Island Shore Schlenker Maintenance Road District, I'm not able to attend the May 2nd public hearing. Please read this letter to the board members, audience, and enter it into the record. My property is one of those within the proposed district in which the property owners actually own the land beneath the wheels of the vehicles that pass through their property. I have no objection to allowing other property owners to pass across my parcel. However, I ask that they respect my wishes on the property. In order to access my house, I have to walk across the road. When my children were small, there were several times when they came close to being struck by cars, especially when walking down the steps towards the road. There was no visible oncoming traffic. Visibility for oncoming traffic is very limited. Through the years, I have had several family pets injured by passing traffic. I have had damage occur to my garage when someone apparently backed into it while trying to turn around. Even though my mailbox does not project into the road, it has been damaged by someone driving too close to the edge of the road. My house is situated approximately 30 feet from the edge of the road. Even when dust control products are put down on the roadway, a lot of dust is raised with passing vehicles. A significant amount of this dust settles on my lawn furniture and within my house. I wish the people would drive no faster than 50 miles per hour in order to help minimize this dust. The soils beneath the road from M36 all the way to the drainage culvert are not solid. They are muck. They are not conducive to building a lasting and maintaining a free roadway. Any road building materials, including the proposed 21 AA, will continue to sink into the muck and result in the road deterioration. Excess weight and speed of vehicles will exacerbate this process, especially under wet soil conditions. During times of high rainfall, the road bed gets soft and spongy and starts to fail, creating potholes. Excess speed results in pounding down of the road bed and splashing 21 AA out of the potholes, making them wider and deeper. During wet weather periods, such as those during the winter months, the rainy days which happened a few weeks ago, I wish people would travel even slower than the posted 15 mile an hour in an attempt to minimize road damage. Most of my neighbors do drive past my property at a reasonable speed. However, some of their family members and guests seem to go out of their way to drive fast. I expect they will continue to do so, especially after the road is improved. I wish that they'd ask their family members, guests, and service people to heed the posted 50 mile an hour speed limit and go even slower when deteriorating road conditions warrant it. If not, I will semi-privately install, Department of Transportation approved, speed humps in front of my property until people learn to slow down. Fred Warwick, 4811 Island Shore Drive. Please I'll give you a copy of that, Brittany.
I got it.
Anyone else?
I'm Cecile Launschlager, and I live at 5273 Schlinker. I've lived there 45 years, and I just want to say that some of the neighborhood has really gone downhill. The man 2 doors down is trying to sell his home. The other day, a couple came with 2 small children to look at the home. They did that all right. No one in our little neighborhood bothered them. But when they were leaving, down in front of Marianne, she stood there and hollered F-bombs at them and told them they didn't have a right to be on her road. And I know it's nothing to her. It's no big deal. But it's really sad on our street that we have to put up with that. And they called their attorney, and the real estate office, and real estate office called the owner that's trying to sell the house, and he called the police department and made a police report. Now, do you see any of those police reports that come in about our road? You don't see those?
The chief, I'll answer it at the end.
Okay. Anyway, that's just a small example of the courtesy that happens on the road and the non-courtesy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
Okay, I'd like to say she's a liar.
Marianne?
That did not happen
Marianne?
because we have it on tape.
Comments
And how would
to the
you
board.
know what
Marianne,
happened down there?
Marianne, comments to the board.
That woman
Comments
is a
to
liar.
me.
I'm telling you, she's
Thank
a
you.
liar. She wasn't even there. The F-bombs were coming from those 2 weirdos. And all I said to them was, they stopped in the middle of my road, asked me where Schlinker Drive was. They asked me, is this a private road? I said, no,
Seal.
it's private property. But to get to Schlinker Drive, you have to go through my property.
Anything else?
He then started giving me a bunch of crap because I put leaves in the road.
We're late.
You're out of order,
Stop.
Marianne.
Marianne,
She's
sit
a
down.
liar.
We're done.
You're a liar.
We're done. Please. Seal.
Yes.
Seal, please.
Don't engage.
Sit down.
Only makes it worse.
Sit down, please. Thank you. I'm sorry to be. Anyone else want to bring up anything new? Anyone? I'm closing the public hearing. And I'm going to answer some questions. Benefit. Michigan Tax Tribunal determines benefit. I've sat in on quite a few hearings. One just recently when we set up a special assessment district on petties with regard to benefit. Same question, Michigan Tax Tribunal ruled that the benefit was there, and this was for someone way up close to M36. The Michigan Tax Tribunal has jurisdiction in these when we have the second public hearing. Anyone wishing to appeal whether or not they have a benefit has an opportunity to do that with the Michigan Tax Tribunal for 30 days after the second public hearing. Private road status. In 1984, there was a petition circulated under Act 139. Act 139 of 1972 is an act for private road maintenance in platted subdivisions. That petition was circulated by Mary Ann Lampkin. That provides some validity because in that petition, this road was referred to as a road. So there's some validity as to the fact that it has been established as a private road. The cost regarding Mr. Drury's fees are not actual costs. That is an estimate, and Brittany puts those costs together. We have to include those for your benefit. Typically, those do not ever come to fruition. So those fees are in there. If they end up being assessed, you'll be able to get an itemized bill. If they don't, they go away. In terms of the Mr. Garrison's question, the liaison on the maintenance is Brittany or I. These contractors that apply to do this work have standing with us. Your petition that was circulated is very specific. I think it's 4 inches of snow and various other times. With regard to the chloriding, we intentionally try to minimize the chloriding because that's pretty expensive. For instance, I think last year we had a rainy year. We only did 2 chlorides. But you folks have put in that petition that you wanted, I think, up to 5. We do whatever you want. We do whatever you want when you design that petition. So the people that designed the petition, and Brittany wrote it, said, well, let's put 4 in. If we use them, fine. If we don't, fine. If there is no cost, if the maintenance does not take place, there is no assessment. And then that is recalculated because Brittany reconciles all of these districts at the end of the year, and then she forwards in September to the treasurer the assessment. And so whatever's left in that fund is credited, and that is deducted from the payments on a pro rata basis that all of you would pay. Anyone at any time can come in and look for the itemized, report. We're doing this for your benefit. We had another road discussion last night, and I'll say the same thing. Most townships won't do Act 188s for this very reason, because we are shot as a messenger. We are functioning in what you tell us to do. And I'm going to be a bit silly, but if you told us you wanted pink gravel put down, we'd price it out. We do whatever you want us to do. So these services that are contemplated in this are being provided at your request. Our function is a finance agent and a collection agent, because if somebody doesn't pay, then we have lien, and that was specifically designed in Act 188 for private roads, as it was in Act 139, which was used when this district was originally established. This district was in place for 30 years, and it seemed to do quite well, and Mrs. Lampkin strongly supported the district in the beginning. As I said, she was a sole petition circulator in 1984 to get this district set up. I'm going to open the floor now to board comments. I think I've answered everyone's question.
No, you didn't.
Board comments, my comment. You want to talk about morals? 2 years ago, we spent $2,200 to fix that road because we got a call from Livingston County Ambulance because they were unable to treat an elderly person because of the condition of the road. And this board decided to spend general fund money of the people to fix that road. They were unable to do what they needed to do to the lady until they got her out to the Ace Hardware. So, if anybody has any moral issues, if they want to debate that one, then it's ridiculous. So that's my comment. This district needs to go forward. You folks deserve to have some peace of mind here. If there is litigation, then so be it. I do not see the board backing down as long as the residents support this and want it. Any other board comments?
Thank you, Pat.
Want to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn. Support.
Moved by Dolan, supported by...
You said I had a right to address. I'm going to address that. I circulated that petition. I make no qualms about it. I'm not an authority of the road back then, and I am now.
Thanks, everybody.
So you're still going to get sued, and all of you will be brought